Okay, all. Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is episode 70. Tonight we are featuring first father and son. So we have Bruce and Chris. Hey guys, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
Good, good, good. I want to, thank you both for coming on. I appreciate it. It took some coordination, a test run, and what have you, getting everything going. So, how you guys both doing today?
Good.
Good, good,
How
good.
you doing?
Yeah. No complaints. No complaints. It always could be worse. So
It's cold here in Florida. It's about 85 today. What's it like in Connecticut?
I'm actually unseasonably warm up here. Matter of fact, we in the 70s. So for this time of year, that's really, really good. But we'll start getting the more realistic temperatures. Low 60s is generally, around this time. But before you know it, we're gonna be, in the 40s, the 30s, the 20s,
Yeah, I don't want to hear that.
the single digit. Yeah, it's when it gets
My
like that.
kids think I moved to Florida for them, but it's actually the weather.
Yeah, it's not fun when it gets like that. Yeah. I know it. People say the Four Seasons, all that, and they are nice, but when
We
it gets
had a
around
day
the
of each,
winter,
so that's all I need.
it gets old. The winters are beginning old.
I never want to hear freezing rain or wintry mix again.
Yeah, we got a ton of it up here. So if those of you are watching, please tell us where you're watching from and continue to hit like, and please do not forget to hit like and subscribe to FMA Discussion on YouTube channel. Thank you all. All right, so we're gonna jump into it. I'm asking this actually for a couple of reasons. One, I just kind of like to know what's going on in different parts of the country. Secondly, I am coming down to Florida end of January, and staying into, I believe, up to February 5th. So what's currently going on with the whole COVID situation and
Are
all
you going
that?
to be here for Chad's seminar? Will you be here that late?
I think I'm leaving. See, he told me about it when I already had, the flights and all that scheduled, but I think I'm leaving that Friday beforehand, unfortunately. Yeah, I got to double check, but
where are you
I
staying?
think that's the case. Miami.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I kind of see Dwight Woods. I guess Chad's down that way, so I'll try to see him as well.
Well, let me
Hopefully
know. I'll
Chris.
drive. It's not that far a drive, 5 hours.
Yeah, well, Chris here was saying he might be coming down to see Chad, and maybe all of us can
I've never
get
been
together. That'd be fun.
So
is everything okay now? Is everything pretty much open, or like do you guys have still mandates in place?
Depends on where you go, different counties, but basically I think they call it phase 3, and they're opening up restaurants, but there's still restrictions. You'd have to look it up. I don't know. I don't go anywhere but to work. So
private business can use their own discretion, but as for like public spaces and like state and federal, those are all pretty much open for complete business. But any private business, like a gas station, they can still have their own set of rules in place, and they're still enforceable.
And I don't know. I think the government offices are still on a limited schedule. So,
yeah, wow. But you guys, I mean, obviously things have seemed maybe perhaps more lax down there or improving, because I tell you, up here in Connecticut, it's still pretty rigid. Matter of fact, they're talking about masks going all the way up to February. But we're extremely liberal state, and those states that tend to put the sanctions in, and
we deal with her down here.
Yeah. So, but I was just curious, like I said. So when I come down there, like.
But who knows what it'll be in January when you get here?
Yeah, that's true too. Everything could change.
Yeah,
that's true.
If we get a bunch of new cases, you might have to wear a
Go
hat.
back in lockdown.
Yeah.
Oh my God, can you imagine? I come all the way down there, have to sit in a hotel. Oh brother. Well, I don't even want to think about that. All right. Okay, so let's get. So what I want to do is then, like, again, just for everybody who just jumped in, this is the first time I've had a father and son and relative. So this is a new territory, and this is going to be kind of neat. So let's just get, I guess, from each of you. We'll start with you, Dad. Let's get your initial who, where, and when your first initial FMA exposure?
FMA exposure?
Correct.
Shoot, other than Bruce Lee movies, probably it was an article in Black Belt Magazine in 1982, I believe, with Remy Prices, my teacher, on the cover. And he, in the article, talked about how he welcomed all styles. If you have 20 years experience in another style, he wants you to keep that and use that to help with what he's going to teach you, and that type of thing. So much to my father's chagrin, I dropped out of college and went to go find him. The Black Belt magazine back then used to list schools, and under his name was a school in North Hollywood, California. So I dropped everything and moved to North Hollywood, California to find him. And, in doing so and going to that school, one of the first people I met was the guy you had on that we were just talking about, Mark Makita.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Probably, in my opinion, one of the best martial artists I've ever met in my life. And another really good human being.
Yeah,
he's a martial artist in the truest sense of the word, not just technique, but he's a good man too. So
yeah, he is.
If you guys, whoever's listening, go check him out on YouTube, or I think it's Vitology. He's on Instagram and Facebook.
From what I understand, he just moved. He had that beautiful mural on his wall.
Yes.
And he moved his school. And so what he was doing, and don't quote me on this, I hope I'm accurate, but I guess he's kind of selling, pieces of it to people. But he is, from my understanding, moving to a different location.
I think he's already moved. He's a phenomenal artist, by the way.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the mural. Yeah, just phenomenal. Incredible. So then
he was just then I trained at that school. I also trained with several professor students, Mike Rapogel, Jeff Arnold. Met Professor several times through seminars and passing through doors, and then it wasn't until probably late 80s, early 90s that I actually, other than seminars, began training.
And just what year about?
89, maybe 90, something like that. I don't know.
89, okay.
I can't remember that long ago.
Okay, so Chris. Let's just generally speaking, I'm gonna take a while to guess, but before I guess, I'll let you say your first FMA experience. Who, when, and where?
Unofficially, 2 years old, my dad taught me empty handstand and one patterns as our version of patty cake.
I had a feeling it was him.
Well,
Modern Arnis.
The truth is, it was actually Professor Price's, probably. There's a picture floating around somewhere with Professor actually holding him.
I have no memory.
I've seen it. I don't know where it is. I've seen it on the internet. But we probably did trapping hands and empty hand single sinawali while he was sitting in a diaper.
Oh, okay.
So.
Yeah, and then officially, I think I got Modern Arnis officially after I got my dad didn't want to teach me. He didn't want to force Modern Arnis on me until I wanted to do it. But I wanted to do karate down here in Atlanta. I did Taekwondo for probably about 4 or 5 years and got my first black belt in that. And then my dad invited me to come to the seminars. He said, "All right, now you have information, and now that you want to do it, we'll start teaching you that stuff." But he never made me do it. It was all I wanted to do it. And that was in 2009. I got my first black belt, and then I started going to seminars and learning from, the J family and the Hogans and my dad, and then really learning Modern Arnis for the fun stuff and trying to learn it.
I wanted him to not be forced into it, and I also wanted him to have a black belt in something. I didn't care what, because then I knew that he had discipline and that he also had a good basis of fundamentals. I didn't have to show him what front stance was.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So just generally, when you get, I'm sorry, Chris, when you got your black belt, how old were you?
16?
14? 14? No, it was probably 14 or 13.
So at that age, is
Or
that
it was
when
like
you kind of, so to speak, transition fully into Modern Arnis?
not fully, because I still, the cool thing was at my dojo where I got my black belt, I kind of also got a job there. That was my first job, was teaching karate.
Oh,
So
excellent. Okay.
back and forth, like I'd work, we were open Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're closing Sunday. I was working 6 days a week pretty much, training there. A few weekends a month I would go, because my dad was still living in DC. I'd go to seminars, train, luckily, because of how my generation is, I still have a smartphone, so I could film a bunch of stuff, film everything at seminars, and come back to my
Mm.
dojo and practice with anyone who would practice with me. My dojo wasn't a huge fan of the stick stuff, so I didn't say I was teaching Filipino stuff. I would just say I was teaching a different form of karate by doing empty hand stuff,
Mm.
and kind of getting away with that for a while.
Kind of like slipping it in there.
My sensei was very, I don't want to say anything out of,
Yeah, no, yeah, understood.
very focused on his stuff, and he didn't want me to, bring in outside stuff initially,
Mm.
because it was new to them. So I would just subtly sneak in, oh, well, this is a different form of Taekwondo I learned, or this is
Yeah,
because of
different.
these seminars we had
This is a different form of.
And at the time, I was living in the metropolitan DC area. They would come up. He would come up to visit for 4 or 5 weeks a year, and then. But because I was doing so many seminars back then, he had the opportunity to come with me to many of those.
Oh, fantastic. That must have been a great experience. You going with your dad doing seminars? That'd be neat.
It was a lot of fun. It was weird
Yeah.
at first, because the first few ones I went to was two things that blew my mind. Was one, people I'd met when I was little, they all kept saying, "Oh, you look so different now." I go, "Well, yeah, I have no idea who you are." The
Yeah,
other
yeah,
one,
yeah. They remember you, but you're probably seeing like 1,000 faces back then, and you don't remember
Well,
shit.
he was in a stroller.
the girl, something like that, and I was
Yeah.
14. I didn't care who they were initially.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Right. You're young, and mind's on other things, of course.
The
All right.
other,
Just want to give quick hello to everybody. Paul, hey, thanks for jumping in. Brian, Chad, hey, Chad. See you on November 21st and 22nd at our seminar in Orlando. Remind Dean to mention it. I will mention it. Hey, Audie. So then, all right. So when you're, again, you got your 14, you're jumping in and all that, not heavily, and you're teaching, you're trying to slip it in there and what have you. What was before we get back to that, what was, is that the school you're still currently at or no?
um, I stopped training Taekwondo like hardcore when I was 19 or 20. So I was there for about 10 years. I finished out getting my third degree black belt under them, and then I left. I wanted to pursue different things. Really wanted to focus on the other stuff that I was doing. I was really into small circuit jiu-jitsu at the time. Like I thought Wally J was like
The Wally J stuff, yeah.
the guy in the world, even though I never met him, but I would watch all of his old videos. My
Mm,
dad would story after story of Wally J. And like, I want to do that a
yeah.
lot,
Well,
because
that
I
was the
thought,
three. I mean, that was the trio, wasn't it? Wally J, Dillman, and
and right,
Professor Princess, right?
Yes,
Those they
sir.
kind of went around far as the seminar circuit.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that makes sense that you obviously that you like this material. So we're gonna get all right, let's get back to your dad. So all right, so what point so from that California experience, sir, what did you how long did you stay out there and what kind of transcended from there?
I didn't stay out there long. A couple of years, but um, yeah, I just fell in love with the art. I've been doing martial arts since I was 7, roughly 73, 72, and this is the most fun of any martial art I've ever done. It's just, and the way that professor taught it, welcoming everybody, everything, and allowing you to make it your own.
Yeah.
And I really got into the fact that if you could do it with a stick, you could do it with a knife, you could do it with an empty hand, you could do it with a water bottle. It didn't matter. That was really cool to me. So I in between the times that I would see professor, I just practiced what I knew. I didn't know a lot, but I tried to be really good at what I learned. And then one day, it was funny. One of my first seminars was with Leon J. And then while it was that one, there was a martial arts shop in Orlando called East Coast Martial Arts. It was where everybody went to hang out. And there was a flyer there that Professor was coming to a place in St. Petersburg, I believe.
Okay.
So I drove out to St. Petersburg, got there an hour early, and people didn't know who I was. I'm sitting in this chair just waiting, and he walked in the door, and he about fainted and saw me and gave me a big hug. And from that point on, we were kind of joined at the hip for a good long while.
Oh, so there was a gap of time then from California where you didn't see him? Okay.
Yeah, there was I'd see him like at a seminar here or there, but he was all over. And it was,
Yeah, it was pretty great. It was funny when I interviewed Chad and Frank and Brian. I didn't realize the magnitude, like his seminar tours and circuit. Like I had no idea.
So
Just
he did roughly between 40 and 50 seminars a year and 10 camps.
that's about the numbers they quoted me, and I was just thinking that that guy obviously had no weekend life.
That was
you're
his life.
doing
So we would go, and first of all, not many people can make a seminar work on a Sunday in the South. You just can't, but he could. We would go to do a seminar on a Saturday, get in a car and drive to a different city in Florida and be there to do a seminar on Sunday. Then he would get in a plane and fly somewhere, and then to get ready for the next one. He might go home for a bit and then go to another one. And then, it was crazy. For example, there was this, Chris likes this story. There was a suitcase that would travel with him. It was kind of funny because he would give it to one of the black belts, whoever was at the seminar, and go, "You must take this to the next one. I will see you in Indiana. I will see you in Orlando." And it was, so you'd think this suitcase was like the holy grail because he guarded it like it was Lapu Lapu stick himself. It was really, it was his laundry. So he would have black belts to different, throw it in the machine, put it back in the suitcase so he'd have clean laundry for the next one. So and he had PO boxes and must be 40 different cities in across the U.S.
Yeah, I tell you again, like I always knew about Modern Arnis, of course, but the things that I just wasn't again aware of, like just how much of a profound impact he had on the states, and again, reiterating about his obviously his.
He was a true vagabond.
Yeah.
We were somewhere, I don't remember where, and someone once asked him when he said, "Is there any questions?" Somebody said, "Well, Professor, how come you don't have a school?" And he said, "Well, no," he said, "because it would limit the number of people he could touch."
Yeah, good answer. Yeah.
What did he say? Because he wanted, and he touched so many lives.
Yeah. No, I like that's the one thing about when you do these interviews. There's certain systems I know fairly accurately, just being in them or was in them and involved in them some shape, way, or form. But Modern Arnis, I never did. I always knew about it. So what's been fascinating with these interviews regarding Modern Arnis is that these episodes regarding that are some of the episodes I've actually learned the most. Just the impact he had, and just not just for the states, but all over the place. Just incredible. And what's so unique too is, and I'm sure you guys expand on this, is just that that connection he had with the traditional schools. Just brilliant. Like genius like that. He connect himself in there, and look at today. Like a lot of these traditional schools that embraced, FMA, where if he hadn't done that, who knows what we would be looking at today. I think there's definitely an impact there.
I told people many times before he passed away that while Professor may have been a master of his art, he was a master of people. He really was.
Had to be. Had to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he had to just instantaneously be able to make a connection with people to bridge himself into their school and make a connection. Had to
He
be.
never
Had to be.
forgot a name. He would, if Dean, it'd be 10 years, and he would, Dean, my friend, how are you? How are you? Yeah,
Yeah. That's,
he'd
wow.
ask you something that
Wish
there's
I
no
had that.
way should remember.
Yeah. Wow. We're getting some traffic here. I just want to give Guru Tom. Hi there. I hope all well. Chad, Bruce is extremely talented. Brian Frank, my regards to my love to Bruce and Chris. Very nice. Thank you, Maestro Graham. And a lot of things we forgot. Chad is saying. Andre says hi to both of you. And Joe, my AK. Hey there. He's out in Las Vegas. Avenir Collies. And Bernardino, Polino, Brigade. And what else we got? And young Arthur Smith. You guys got no.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We know Young. How Young?
So, so listen. Okay, so again, just I can't just reiterate enough. Just again from these interviews, the impact he's had and all that. So you're all right. So let's kind of let's kick back to St. Petersburg. So you start to join him at the hip, and what's going on?
Well, he bought some property here. He was building a house. He lived over in Celebration he rented a condo or townhouse. And he kind of made this, but he was in Vancouver and here at that time. And yeah, it'd be weird. I'd get a call 11:30 at night. Bruce, I'm here. Where are you? And he would be at the airport waiting for me to pick him up. And because for some reason it was cheaper to fly from Pennsylvania to Orlando and then fly from Orlando to Vancouver. And the guy had like literally 400,000 or more air miles. We were at an airport one time, and he couldn't get an upgrade because he dressed a pair of shorts and those cheesy flip flops, and I mean he looked more like the gardener, and he kept his money in this pouch that he tied around his waist.
Oh my gosh!
And so we go up there, and they weren't giving him any. I can't remember, it was me and Chuck maybe, and basically I finally said, ma'am, I'm sorry. Just do this for me. Please look him up. He is like a gazillion medallion member. Please just look. So she types all of a sudden, oh, Mr. Praises, I'm so sorry. Right away this way. It took him into the lounge.
Yeah, and all of a sudden he went from the gardener to like a prince.
Yeah, it's like Jed Clampett or something. Yeah. But anyway, so it was neat because I would go to his place. Some of the best training I had was with him and Jeff Faulkner in his around his apartment. I mean, he would fight me from the kitchen to the living room and back to the kitchen. There was one time we were sparring in his apartment, and honestly, it's the hardest I've ever gone. And he's like watching TV; he's not even paying attention. And so I thought I could get him because he was literally watching TV. But he had maneuvered me so that I was standing underneath his ceiling fan. And when I brought the stick back for a kill shot, ceiling fan took it out. He swept my foot and threw me on the ground. He just started laughing.
Instantaneous disarm.
Yeah, that was really the fan.
Wow. Chris, were you around? So, were your father reflecting on the time frame there in St. Petersburg? What can you recall? Were you around then, in and out? What say you?
I don't think I was born yet.
Oh, whoa. What year we Dad? What year are we talking about this?
So this all started probably, I don't know, sometime early 90s. And then, now, you were born in 96, right, son?
We're there.
Yeah. See, I do. Yeah, I told you I remembered.
You were there.
And
so, Chris, what year were you born?
He met a professor, but he was, in a stroller. In fact, Chad remembers we had those, and Frank came to one too. We had this gymnastics facility in Orlando. We had the winter camp in February, in between like bike week and something else down there. And we had it every year. And when Professor was there, Chris was definitely there, but it was.
Yeah, he's little, but still, yeah.
But I will tell you,
Bram.
here's a funny story about Chris and why he's a natural at Modern Arnis and stick fighting. So at this store, East Coast Martial Arts, anytime we would go visit and I would bring the kids, he would immediately go to this like umbrella stand and start picking out sticks. And he'd just start smacking the guy that works there, a guy named Carl, just beating the tar out of him. And at first, Carl laughed because he's just a little kid, but as he got a little older, it started to hurt a little bit. So he was a natural to stick. Yeah.
Chris, at those early years, what were you thinking?
Well, let me ask you this, son. When is your first conscious recollection of wanting to get involved in FMA?
It was the first seminar I ever went to with you guys, and in Jacksonville. And Mike Matthews, one of your black belts, said because he had a Tang Soo Do background, I had a Taekwondo background, he was able to relate things better to me than some of the because he knew how I. And he the first time really broke down the fact that because in all of my, I think I was just a first dan black belt in Taekwondo. Then my 5 years up to that point, I had never been told that a high block is anything more than a high block because it just never came up. And Mike Matthews said, no, that's not all it is. He goes, it's also a strike. And I go, how is a high block a block? How is a block a strike? And then he showed me with the sticks. And then I was like, oh, there is so much more that I don't know. And just immediately, like, I want to learn all.
That must have been, what, 2009-ish, maybe?
That was 2009, yeah.
Yeah.
My very first instance that I'll never forget to this day because it was one of those that, what do you mean? A block to high block? At 14, I was like, yeah, I know what a high block is. I'm a black belt in Taekwondo. I know my stuff.
Right.
Cocky.
And yeah, that's wow. Bram, Maestro Bram. I got the suitcase and him in my home. So he's got the all elusive important suitcase filled with laundry.
That thing must stink now. Oh my God.
Yeah. Frank Shakowski just said hi to you guys.
Hey Frank. Yep, he came down to a couple of those in Orlando.
Yeah, he said he met you at the Florida camp. Yep. And then we got Harvey saying hi to you guys. Kenneth saying hi to you guys.
Oh, Harvey and Ken, hey, I just saw them this past weekend.
And my entry, Kajo. That's right. I remember you mentioned that, Kajo, Modern Arnis.
Did you say Brian's on?
Brian's in link. He's saying Bruce with multiple exclamation points.
So like I said, I think he's the best at any of us.
Wow. I'm gonna have to see if he's right in the States, so we're gonna have to meet up and spar. All right, I gotta see. We're supposed to meet. We're supposed to meet up, but just it's just like one thing after another. I've just been getting bombarded lately, but the plan is for us definitely to meet. I think he's actually less than an hour away from me. It's just been nuts. I owe him.
You keep saying you're going to do it, and then one time the opportunity won't be there.
No, I know, and that's what really bothers me about that because I firmly believe in what you're saying there. It's like, yeah, you keep putting off, and then before you know it, it doesn't happen and all that. No,
we learned that the hard way with both Professor J and Professor Prices.
Yeah. No, that's
so people true. All the time. You guys got to go. You got. Oh, I'll go next year. Ain't no next year now.
Yeah. Very true. Yeah, you can't keep waiting. That day may never come. So then, all right. So when you say, so I know we're kind of around the St. Petersburg time frame, just for a place of reference. So at this point, when do you? I guess when do you graduate, or when did you graduate from them, or was there?
Never do. You never do. You never do.
All right, let's hear it.
Both Brian, Frank, we never graduated. We always wanted to learn more. But he would go say things like he said to Ray, he said to Chad, Bram, do your own thing. Don't forget where you came from. But he would give his blessing. But you never. I mean, if you really think about it, he is the epitome of the old proverb that says you're never a master until all questions fall. Because there was always questions for him. Hell, to this day, and Brian and Brand could back this up. To this day, I think some of the stuff he would do, and then one of us would say, "Could you do that again?" And he goes, "Oh, you are not ready." It's because he can't remember what he did. He just is just flowing like that.
Oh, reflexive. It just
He would just do stuff, and we'd be like dumbfounded with our sticks tied up and our hand behind our head and our other foot behind our back. We don't know how he got there. He would just. We never graduated. It was always a learning experience, and the most learning wasn't at a seminar. It would be in a parking lot. It would be or the best was in Orlando. You have to take a tram from the jetway to the terminal, and he had 2 rolled up newspapers, and he's training me on the tram while we go over.
With the newspapers.
Yeah. So you never graduate.
No, that's awesome. Wow. That's jeez. So so what point, Chris? Just around this time, depending on the time frame, obviously after 1996, did you start going to seminars? Well, not maybe just with your dad, but also like, were you participating in seminars with your dad, with Remy?
No.
Couldn't. I mean, he was a stroller.
Professor died in 2001, so I would have been.
Oh, five. Okay, so that didn't. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Okay.
I unfortunately, I have no memory of. Unfortunately, I don't remember ever seeing him. I know I did. People say that I did. I have no memory of it because I was so little.
Wow. Jeez. So then, so at what point did you start? All right. So I guess, when did you start teaching it, Bruce? When did you start teaching Modern Arnis?
Oh, probably 85, 86.
Oh, that early. Okay. All right.
I mean, I taught what I knew.
Okay.
And what I knew progressed into other things, and this is the genius of Professor's art, that I would later find out are things that I was supposed to have learned, but they just progressed that way because it was just a natural progression of the way his art was designed. If you do this lock and this strike, eventually you will get to this. So if you can do A and B, you'll get to C, whether someone teaches you or not, or you should, if you allow the flow to happen. So I began teaching Arnis at that time because I'd moved to a new place and go to a karate school and say, "Hey, do you mind if I work out here?" Well, it's going to cost you whatever. Hey, I'll tell you what, I'll teach a stick class for you if I can work out here. So that's kind of the way I've always gotten a free place to train.
Oh, okay.
So that's how it started. And I started at Neil Ehrlich's American Karate in Alexandria, Virginia in probably, 85, 86.
Oh, wow. Okay. And
but I didn't start doing seminars till the early 90s. No, mid 90s, maybe 96. Because Professor taught me how to do it and how to go to approach different people and to the people in, like if somebody in Florida wanted him and he couldn't do it, he would say, "Call Bruce." So.
Oh, that's fantastic. So then that was, all right, so mid-90s, you started doing that. Were they generally speaking in the Florida area, East Coast area?
East Coast mostly. I did some in I did some Idaho, Vegas. There was one year, so you back then you could put your stuff in free in Black Belt, and we were in. Funny, it was in Clearwater, not too far from where I live now, and George Dillman, Wally J, and Murray Prices were doing a seminar, and George comes up with a copy of Black Belt, and we're sitting at a table, and he slams it down on the table in front of Professor Prices, goes, "Remy, who the hell is this Bruce Chiu guy? He's trying to take your business. Look at his on
Oh my
Black Belt
God.
magazine. Bruce Chiu teaching Remy Price's Modern Arnis. Bruce Chiu teaching and there's because at that time I did a bunch of seminars, and Remy just shook his head and looked at him and pointed at me. That's Bruce Chiu. Oh, him. Oh, I know who he is. Yeah. But
Oh jeez.
it was kind of funny.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I was doing a lot.
Yeah. So Chris, what years did you, at what age did you start to go to your father when he was doing seminars?
14 or
Okay.
15.
Tell us about it. That'd be really neat. Yeah.
I had just gotten my first black belt in Taekwondo, and it was, my dad was saying earlier how we need to have a foundation and a good base. He didn't. It's easy to teach someone who knows what a front stance is at the beginning instead of like having me how to, walk. I already knew how to walk. So he taught me how to run. It was, eye opening because I had thought at that time my martial arts world was so narrow. It was, two greatest martial artists I thought of were my sensei and my dad because the only two that I know. And then when I go to the seminars, my dad's introduced me to people who, were world champions, guys who trained some of the best in the world, guys who, trained under people who invented this stuff. It's incredible.
Overwhelming, huh?
It was one of the more eye-opening experiences I had was going to those early seminars because I was like, oh, wow, this stuff is legitimate. Like, this is the real deal. I remember when I found out that Bruce Lee and Wally J together, and then that made me immediately think of like, oh, well, so
You
did
broke
Remy and
up.
Wally J.
You broke up.
So that means I'm 3 people. Well, I said when you told me that Bruce Lee and Wally J trained together.
Oh yeah.
Like that was amazing because that meant
Yeah.
Professor Price and Wally trained together. So I'm only 3 people removed from Bruce Lee, and as a Chinese American, that's incredible. That's awesome.
Yeah, Leon tells a story of coming home from school and Bruce Lee sitting on the steps of his house waiting for his dad to get off work.
Wow.
And Leon J is my small circle instructor. So when my dad explained to me that my martial arts tree is right next to Bruce Lee's tree, technically speaking, lineage-wise, that's incredible because I think even Leon and there's a good chance if Bruce Lee was alive, I'd have met him because of that lineage.
Yeah, because of the lineage. Exactly. Wow. Yeah, I'm just thinking, wow, so at 14, what year? So 2010?
2009.
Ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I tell you though, what's incredible is that you getting in at that early age. One of the things about a good chunk of us is that we unfortunately didn't have the exposure or anybody around like when we started out our journey, to get into FMA in our teens. So that's fantastic that
Brian did.
early. Huh?
Brian did.
Brian did because of Lowell, Mass, and the school there. I know. Very lucky.
Bram started with Professor a long time ago too. Chad.
Yeah. No, Brian. He's got a problem. I think Brian, as far as Connecticut is concerned, is probably. I mean, I don't obviously know this for certain, but I'm guessing Brian Zielinski is probably the youngest practitioner exposed to FMA probably in the state. I mean, unless somebody new has moved in, but I'm talking, kind of born and raised, in Connecticut. I think Brian's got to be it's got to be one of them. And yeah. So Chris, now when you would go to these seminars, would you actually help teach and do what you can? I mean, what was the can you tell us?
I wasn't help teach. I wasn't a good enough uke yet because at my dojo I couldn't practice much stick stuff because my sensei was against it. So I wasn't building that comfortability yet because I was still trying to bridge the gap of what you do with a stick you can do with your hand. And it was hard to do that because I didn't have much stick. But the empty hand stuff, my dad would use me for like small circle things, trapping hand drills. But I was still very young. I wasn't ready to be the uke yet. I mean, I wasn't ranked yet in Modern Arnis. I was basically So he would have his instructors uke or show the demonstration. But I was just happy to be the stuff watching stuff later.
Yeah. I mean, the experience alone had to be incredible. You're meeting all these new people.
Storage space, so I had to go buy more on the iCloud.
Yeah.
Well, and then he really started to express an interest. I mean, he would call me at 11:30 at night saying, "Dad, I was checking out this stuff on YouTube. Who's this guy? What's this? What's this technique?" And he really developed a hunger for it. It was really cool. Obviously, every dad wants to be able to share something with his son.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And his love for the martial arts is something. I mean, he doesn't just practice it; he truly loves it, and that, of course, made us to want to train more. So we would work whenever we could, we would get together and train. His progression has just been amazing. He's gotten so good, and he's had the ability to train with so many other people, like Ram, like Chad, like Ray, like
I definitely want to meet
Eric and those other guys. For the life of me, I just blanked on Eric's last name.
Mickey.
Yeah. Super guy. And so it's been great to watch his growth. I couldn't be prouder. I mean, really,
that's gonna be really neat. Yeah, you're right. So, actually, that's kind of one of my next things I want to get into. Let's get into how often you guys get together and train. I mean, was there a point where you guys were doing pretty frequently, and what about now?
Well, in the beginning, it was only at seminars or when he'd come to visit because I lived 900 miles away. But since 2018, my living down in Florida, we get together often. He once said to me, he said, "Dad, I've seen you more in 36 hours than I have in 36 months." So, we get together. We just got together last week. So
Fantastic.
Quite often now.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So, Chris, tell us about your father as a teacher for those who are watching and viewing. What can you tell us?
I have been blessed to years, my short time on this earth and my short time in martial arts. And my dad's told me some of the greatest martial artists out there, but his number one reference is always Professor. Okay, that he wasn't just the greatest martial artist, and he was the greatest teacher, he was the greatest person, which ultimately is more important than martial arts ability, which is what he's passed on to me, is knowing how to teach people is better than being able to do a 360 front kick. My dad teaches people how to do it relationally. He teaches how to do it where it's an easy way to. He's taught me how to, I had a student come in one day, their whole background was ballet. You'd think there's no way you could teach a ballet student how to do martial arts. I go, yeah, you can. They already know how to move. You just have to relate it to them.
Of course you can.
My dad has done.
Yeah.
I've seen him take people who underwater basket weaving. He could teach them how to do FMA. Yeah, we could. He is so, and I'm not just saying this because my dad. If I was just a random student, I'd say this because he has the ability to make it relatable no matter what the background or art is. Whether it's karate, Krav Maga, underwater basket weaving, baton twirling, you could do 30 years of jumping through hula hoops. It wouldn't matter. The way he could relate it to you. Difficult, but he could do it. Not has that capability. There are some people who, and I've seen it firsthand from other places that I've gone to. Someone said, "Well, I've got a background in this. Does this help?" He goes, "Oh no, that background won't help you in this system." And I go, "Sure it will. They've got 15 years in something. Utilize it. Don't make them walk again. I already know how to walk," which, goes back to my dad saying was, the art within your art. That embodies that to the fullest definition, in my opinion.
Oh, wow. That was well said. Well said. Jeez. Looks like you're raising a good one there, Dad.
Yeah, well, I had help. But I'll also tell you, I'm harder on him than I am on a lot of other people. Yeah. He can attest to that.
That happens.
I think Mike Matthews and David Jones, a couple others are probably so happy that Chris has gotten better because now I can beat the hell out of him instead of them.
Mm.
Can't wait.
So, 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 Bruce, did you ever actually have your own school, or was it more or less you teaching at places?
No, I always taught at places. I'd be affiliated with them,
Yeah.
but never had my own school. Don't want the responsibility.
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Yeah, it's a big undertaking. Yeah, no. I mean, if you can do it successfully without having a brick and mortar, nothing wrong with that, you know. So let's get into your own organization. So what can you tell us?
Now, honestly, I'd be 100% honest. I don't care who's listening. After Professor died, I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't. Um, Leon J. and Jack Hogan were huge in wanting me to continue to do it. And there were several different organizations that were associated with Professor. And he didn't mind. He used to joke. I'd say, Professor, should I join that? And he goes, why? I am not. You know, he just let things happen.
Mm.
So I didn't want to do anything. But then I started getting emails and phone calls and texts. You know, Professor's dead now. What do we do? And my response is, I don't care. Do whatever the hell you want. Leave me alone. But between both Jack and Leon, they said you need to have an organization. You need to have something. There were people who all study from you and the professor, and the people who studied under you and the professor can join and meet and have a common thread. Okay, so I did. And it's probably about as loose an organization as you could possibly have, in the sense that I don't. There's no bylaws or anything. It's people that want to be associated with me and my friends. And it's called Arnis International. We have people all over. I've been very blessed to train with some tremendous people, and you know, it's not a system or anything. If you ask, what do I teach? Arnis International is the name of a group. It's not the name of the style. I teach Modern Arnis the way it was taught to me. And adding a little bits of things here and there that I picked up from like the gay family and my association with both Wally and Leon. But it's really just an informal organization where if people want to be ranked, we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's mainly just a place where we can all be friends and hang out.
And train. Yeah, sounds like a great place. I mean, so within the
$100 you two can do. No, I'm just kidding.
so Chris, are you part of the organization as well? I'm assuming.
Sure, I guess.
He's the executive director or executive vice president in charge of director of social media.
All right.
And that's
So
follow us on Instagram, Arnis_International, or Facebook, Arnis International.
All right, we'll definitely have to leave that. So Chris, what do you now, Chris? I know you're you're affiliated with one school where you're working at, right? Am I correct in that? You're
Combatives Club. We're based out of Orlando.
okay. Are you teaching there?
I teach every Wednesday night out there, and funny story that I found them because I was at the time when this is probably almost 2 years ago now. I was Googling Filipino martial arts schools in Orlando. Couldn't find anything. I don't know why. No one was around. But then I Googled it, and then I saw on Meetup there was a Serrata Extrema school, and I called Dad. I said, Dad, what Serrata? What is that? Like what we do? He goes, don't think that way. Go there and try it, and then we'll talk about it later.
Sure.
And I did it and fell in love with what they do too. I'm now I'm great friends with a lot of those guys, and to the point where we became such good friends with the head instructor Eric McGee, who is like a brother to me now. He let me teach a class on Wednesday nights, so it was pretty cool that this group is inviting. Like we call it Orlando Combatives Club because every martial artist in Orlando is welcome. Like we don't care about what system you are, what your background is.
Fantastic.
what professor wanted. Anyone welcome. Dad and everyone's told me he used to say that trust everyone, or not trust everyone. All are welcome, is what he would say.
He would say, yeah, welcome everyone. And I think that one of the things that's important is what Chris said is because I think many of us have backgrounds in traditional martial arts. Mine is Chinese Kung Fu. Very secretive, right? I can't show you the true stuff. I can only show this guy the true stuff. Yet with FMA in general, they all seem to be much more welcoming. They have gatherings. That's what they call, where people just meet together, train, and eat. I mean, how great is that? There's no, well, you won't belong to this school, or you're not is this way, or you're gi, you shouldn't be wearing that color. The FMA people have always just been 10 times more welcoming than the other groups, and it's
well, it depends on this. Depends on some of the organizations. I can tell you right now from doing these interviews, there's some very clear divided lines.
Really? Because when you go to Chad's in February, and everybody that's talking, on here, check out Chad Bailey's winter camp in Orlando. There are people from everything from Savat to Salat to Kung Fu to a Tai Chi Grandmaster to stick fighting, knife fighting. Bram demonstrates how both can be tied in, and then so it's just an amalgamation of every different art and all these different people, and it's just the camaraderie there. And I guess it is a direct reflection on people like Chad, because he's a good guy. Good guys are going to gravitate to him. Yeah. So I think that's a testament to him. But it's just a remarkable experience. And then the ones that I've been involved with the Orlando Combatives people, they had what did they call it, son? Their gathering?
They called it the Crusada. They did it for the past decade.
Yeah, and that was just amazing. I mean, they were so welcoming and open armed. Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. So Chris, back to your school there. So was it Cabalas, Serrata? Cabalas?
I believe so. It's a mix of Cabalas with Dakosa.
Okay, Cabal. Okay, and then and then you're allowed, obviously, to kind of show your stuff, your dad's stuff, and all that. That's awesome. So they're obviously, like you mentioned, very open. Fantastic.
The one I stuff, I'm actually ranked on their organization. I'm level 1, which I think is like they have like white belt and like white belt. So like whatever level 1 is for them, the beginning ranks. It's under them, and my favorite thing about it is like at the Crusada, it's a bunch of Filipino martial artists just talking shop, having fun. Like, well, hey, what do you do here? Oh, it's great. Well, we do something like this. Well, we do something like this, and just all you hear is that clack, 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 clack of sticks just going back and forth. And it's so much fun.
Oh wow!
It's
how far?
Focused.
Jeez, man. Would love to check your place out when I'm down there. How far are you from Miami?
About 3 hours, 3 to 4.
Yeah.
Ask Chad. Chad knows. Do whatever you do on your Google machine to ask Chad.
Chad will be the man to go to. Okay. Right. But so let's all right. So back to your organization, Dad. So I mean, I know you don't have a brick and mortar. So how are you getting in touch and contact with your people? Are you teaching currently? Have a place now, or you?
No. Well, I mean, pre-COVID, I lightened the load because I had to get a real job, but I was probably doing 10 to 15 seminars a year. So, that's how I get these people.
Oh, I got you. Okay. So you're going, awesome. And they
generally, with the internet and whatever the internet and stuff like that. I mean, I have guys in Italy, Poland, even I had a guy from, I think, Albania email me and say, hey, liked your stuff. Can you send us a DVD? So get people from all over.
Yeah. And then exactly COVID. So what are the plans for your organization when we clearly get out of this mess?
Well, hopefully I can pick up and start doing seminars again.
That's a goal.
And I want to go see more people, because I did the same thing I was telling you not to do. Yeah, I was invited up to Michael Bates's place and Chaz Perry, those guys, and I couldn't go because work got in the way, and I should have just called off. And now, instead of being 2.5 hours away, I'm 1,000 miles away.
Yeah.
So I'd like to go see some other people that I haven't seen in a while. Like I'd like to fly out to California and see Mark. But we in Jacksonville every year there's a camp that I do with Davey Hogan and the Hogan Karate people, and then we're going to do a summer camp next year, Ray and I, and then fill that out with seminars. I do one every March here in Clearwater, and then I'll be Chad and I. What is November 21st? I think
it was the 21st and 22nd. I think he wrote.
We'll be there in Orlando somewhere. I don't have the address, but you can go to Chad Bailey and see him. So just do more seminars. I love to teach. I think one of the things that I loved about Professor was he gave to me, or shared his love for teaching in a real honest way with me, and it's quite infectious. I want to go everywhere I can to teach. And the other thing I've learned as I've gotten older is every time I go and I hang out with Chad or Bram or the Orlando Combatives people or the FCS people, is I learn something. And it might be a better way to teach something, it might be a better way to do something, it might be meeting a new person.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think it's important because I always want to be a better teacher.
Yeah.
When I was younger and just starting in martial arts, I did the kickboxing and all the tournament stuff. I always said I wanted to. I'd rather be the guy that coached the world champion or taught the world champion than to be the world champion. So that was my goal. So I've always wanted to be a teacher.
Wow, sounds based on everything we're hearing and everybody from else. You're doing great at it and achieving that. And that's a nice thing too, is when you're within an organization, teacher, all that, where they really promote, that openness to, go in with an open heart, open mind, and, embrace everything and check everything out. And like you said, you never know what you might get, proven upon yourself as an individual, or your art or technique, a concept, whatever. But there's always something you can gain from just exposing yourself to different people and different styles. And that's kind of one of the goals of this show. You know what I mean? It's not for money, I tell you that. It's to try to, bring the community together collectively and all that. So that was well said. What do I just want to see what else what I got here. So Chris, let's hear it. What are your future goals? I mean, I know you're teaching at this place, you're sharing what your dad's stuff and what you know. What else, what else can we expect from you in the future?
One of my main goals, is to meet a lot of these legends before they pass. Like, there was an opportunity to meet Bobby Tabata in April, but COVID happened. I didn't get to meet him anymore. Like, I want to meet these guys who are the legends that are still around, like Dan Inosanto, Bobby Tabata.
Unfortunately,
Dan Anderson, those guys, sure.
Way for me. That's what I want to meet. And obviously, I want to meet more professor students. Like, I want to meet Noodle, Brian Zelensky. I want to meet those guys who also took the beatings like my dad did. I want to meet. I'm a historian, bro. Love history. I remember I failed one of my classes in high school because I was on the internet looking up the history of small circuit jiu-jitsu. I didn't care about class. I was more interested in martial arts.
I don't want to hear this. Oh.
I didn't care about
School is
school.
overrated.
I don't even remember what the class was about. I know I failed the class because I didn't care. But I know the exact jitsu. I love the history of these things. That's my main goal, is to just meet more people, tell me the story I never get to experience. Like Bobby Tabata, I know could tell me stories for days, things that I'll never comprehend because
Yeah.
course that I get to live in. You know, all of my dad's brothers under Remy Prices, they've all got stories that I'll never get to experience because it's a, and I want to those people who can tell me those stories so I can help share them and like other people. Like I tell people stories every chance I get that my dad is telling about Remy or Wally, or even my dad's stories.
Yeah, keep them
What's the
going.
one?
Sure.
I think the one I tell often is the Remy, like, didn't he get jumped in a subway, Dad, and he beat up 4 or 5 people in the New York subway because they old man.
Yeah.
Tell the story better than I can.
Yeah. That's right.
It's funny, you mentioned a name there that I'm going to be trying to get on because I've yet to have anybody regarding Blintawak, and who would be better than Bobby Tabota? So that's a name I'm going to try to get on here. Just
I just found 1994 that had George Dillon, Dave, Remy Prices, and Bobby, North Carolina. We found
is that where
an old flyer.
Is he still in the Carolinas, North Carolina, or?
I believe so. I've heard from a few people in the Carolinas.
He was in North Carolina, but I don't know now.
That's somebody on here. Well, I'm sure will tell us. That's what I last heard, anyhow. But so no, I think that's great. You're like meeting because I can tell you, I remember first getting Mark Wiley's book, and when it came out in '97. And I'm looking at all these legends. I mean, and some of them like a few years like after that, some of them are a lot of them had already died.
Well, that's why I love these interviews, because you're interviewing been around for years, and I'm like, oh wow, that's a cool story. I want to hear more of that type of thing.
Yeah.
Fell in love with what you were doing.
Yeah.
You're making the trip easier for me.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I really do, more than you know, because it's again, I'm just doing this to expose, to bring the community together, to enlighten all of us, and so forth, and try to erase some of the dividing lines, that exist. But little by little, it's been little by little. You have to go in there. If you can get some positive results and change a few, then you're not gonna get everybody. It's just the way it is. But you just gotta keep. Yep. See somebody. Yeah. I guess he's in Charlotte. Okay. Thank you, Chad. Richard Packman. Hey, okay, brother. Okay. Yeah. I'm okay. And Nick. Yep. I've heard of him as well. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. So. Thank you, Chad. I appreciate it. All right. So let's just. I want to ask both of you. I'm just curious. Sometimes I ask this and sometimes I do, but just we'll start with you, Dad. What would you like to see overall in our community? Like, what changes would you like to see that could make a better, community?
More matches to the death.
Anything.
More death matches.
I was thinking the same.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's absolutely needed.
No.
That's a first, though.
Yeah. Somebody's probably freaking out.
Wait a minute.
Said that. Well, the wise man once said, "Better to be a smartass than a dumbass," right?
Yeah.
No. What would I like to see more of? Like what you're doing. Not trying to suck up, but so there's more information.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see more people, like the people that I've experienced. Now that you're saying there's some that aren't, that just welcome everybody. I talk about it in the seminar, so I'll have the Uki hold the stick. and I'll smack the stick, and then I'll ask everybody, what style is that? It's hitting them with a stick. There's only so many ways to do it. It doesn't matter. Every style has a front kick. Every style has a punch. Every style has a. So if we just got away from that, and if we could leave the egos at the door, it's hard. I have an ego too. It's hard.
Yeah.
But there's so much to learn and share, and I happen to think of all the martial arts I've trained in, the FMA is probably one of the. It is the most fun. But the other thing I think it's so valuable is because it teaches you every form of Filipino martial arts stresses flowing. Just being able to flow from one thing to the other. And Wally J talks about it in the 10 Principles of Small Circle Jiu-Jitsu. It talks about transitional flow. The ability to flow in Filipino martial arts makes it, in my opinion, one of the best to train in. And if we just concentrate on letting the flow happen, regardless of who we're with or what we do, I think it'd be great. I would love to see more gatherings where it's all about the sharing.
And multi-styles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thai boating does one in Virginia in the spring where you just get together and just do stuff. Chad saying the Orlando Combatives, just where it's just all about sharing. I think that'd be what I'd like to see more. And the other thing is I love the food at the things.
The food.
Yeah, I would like to see more lumpia at every event.
Yeah.
Those of you who don't know what that is, too bad.
Yeah.
So that's what I would like to see. Hint, hint, Chad.
Yeah, well said. Before we get to Chris, the egos, just go with an open hand, open heart, open mind, and just forget and just go back to the roots. Like, hey.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. Here's one other thing I would like to see. People not getting so caught up into, well, that wouldn't work in real life, or you can't kill somebody that way, or you can't do that this way. And just admit for the fact that, you know why we do it? Because we freaking love it. It's fun. I am never in my life going to get into a fight with a knife in my hand and the other guy's knife in his hand. I can pretty much guarantee you that'll never happen.
Yeah.
Right? But why do I still practice knife against knife? Because I like it. It's fun.
The art versus the functionality. Yeah.
Somebody once said, what is it? Martial arts is the perfection of oneself versus the buzz term now is combatives, which is the protection of oneself.
Yeah, it's
but I think you can have both and still just revel in the love of your art. Who cares if it doesn't? I mean, everybody's built differently anyway. It's not always going to work no matter what you teach.
Yeah, based on your build and strength and size and what have you and your age.
But you can build attributes. You can do it for fitness. You can do it for all these other reasons. But really, how long have you been doing martial arts, Dean?
Since teen. So, gosh, 35. I don't know, 35 years.
And you don't do it because you think you're going to get in a fight tomorrow.
No, that is for sure. No,
you do it because you love it.
Yeah, no. I mean, for me, it's the mental health benefits.
There you go. Yeah.
If I didn't do it, I think it'd be safe to say, without exaggerating, clinical depression.
So let's just let that happen. That's what I would like more of.
Yeah. No, well said. No, thank you. Chris, let's hear from you. Even though you're kind of a young buck, you still obviously been around and all that. So what would you like to see as far as overall improvements within our community?
I mean, I agree with most of everything, if not everything my dad just said, because we've talked about this multiple times. I'll experience different things, all different political things that happen in martial arts and the FMA community. And I'll say, when I was this age. So, leaving the ego or realizing, and this is a fun, the combatives guys joke about all the time because we'll just compare notes and we'll go, it's all the same. Professor would say it all the time, I'm told. It's all. how you swing a stick, how I swing a stick. We might just have a different name for it. It's all the same stuff. It's. I think I've worked with some people, and I tell them when we start, when I'm pitching the other guy's class, my class, we say, if you go in looking for differences, you'll never be happy. If you go in looking for similarities, you'll be as happy as you can be. Instead of trying to pick it up.
With an open mind.
Well said.
Our system does this, does that. You could do that all day long, and you'll never be happy.
Yeah.
Instead of going, hey, well, we do it this way. You show us how you do it. And you'll both be happy because you both compare notes. That's what we should be doing. I had this conversation.
Yeah. No, I think that's well put. Like exchanging, like mutual exchanging
and then fight to the death. But yeah.
But yeah, if you want to be successful, prove it. But and I'll never forget this. I failed a college essay because I was accused of copyright, and my dad told me, Chris, because of the way the world is now and how long it's been around, there's no such thing as an original concept of thought. I think that goes double for the martial arts community because we're such a small community, especially in the FMA. People who say they're the only system that does something is probably full of it.
Yeah.
Because it's possible. People have been swinging. I remember reading that. I think Bram once said the knife or the stick was the first weapon made by man. It probably was. So you can't be to do that.
Yeah, makes sense. They grabbed whatever they could, which was probably a stick.
Or a rock.
Jedi mind tricks. You use Jedi force to pick up a stick. You're not the first person to do it with a stick. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
It just.
So agreed.
So far, and also the whole that wouldn't work in this situation. Blah 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 blah. I remember I was working with a guy in Jacksonville at a young seminar this past June, and there was a yoga instructor there, an acro yoga guy, and he was, he loved what I was doing, loved what he was doing. I immediately said, hey, you can do this in a fight, or you can do this in a stick fight or combative form. He goes, how can you pull off acro yoga in a combative sense? I said, I'll show you. And it was that idea of just bridging those gaps together, not for fighting. We were never going to try these things in a real fight, but it was for fun. Yeah. And we just had a ball doing it. Everyone was loving it. We started all having fun. And some dude on Facebook or Instagram was saying, everything you just did was full of crap and blah, 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 blah. And I messaged the guy that I did the video with. And he goes, dude, that guy's a tool. Just forget about him. We were just having fun.
Yeah, you're going to have the trolls.
Internet. What are Twitter muscles?
Twitter muscles. Tyson say that I saw recently that because of the internet, everyone's getting more comfortable voicing their opinion, not afraid to get punched in the face.
Oh yeah. I can tell you. I mean, again, from doing these, I could just tell you just some of this, some of the stuff I'm exposed to in the pre-interviews and messaging. It's amazing. I mean, obviously the internet's a wonderful thing, wonderful tool, but like everything else, there's always the downside or the negative aspect to it where people use it as a channel to vent their own frustrations or their own inadequacies.
Yeah, that's true.
And what have you. And just they're trolls. There's nothing good. And what you have to look at, and because it's not, and it's, I've had it happen to me. And of course, I'm not going to lie, it bothers you. But if you look at the bigger picture of what you're doing and all that, and compare what they're doing, or better yet, what they're not doing, you know what I mean? You just got to move on, and but it's hard. I understand.
I remember looking at your page, sir, for someone calling a very premier martial FMA master, because I messaged Dad. I go, Dad, isn't this guy he was top deal? He goes, oh yeah, that guy was a pretty big deal back in his so anyone calling him out doesn't know what they're talking about. Yeah. It's the Facebook, it's a Twitter. That's all it is.
Yeah. I mean,
keyboard ninjas.
Keyboard ninja.
But, you just gotta. They're gonna be there, and the nice thing too is though, within the groups, like for instance, I am very strict with the group FMA discussion. I will not allow name calling. I will not allow bashing. And I've made that precedent, very clear. When people join, I said, look, I want you to read the mission statement. When they go to the mission statement, it's very clear and outlined what is tolerated and what is not. And I tell you, I've only had one incident, and it's been up for going on close to a year since I've been doing these interviews, going on a year end of this month. So if within the parameters that if you're running the group, if you just like, if you allow it, it's going to run rampant. Like if you're not, it's going to run rampant, because once they see it's okay, they're just going to, so, but not that stops everything from the private messaging and what have you. And, if there's a will, they're gonna, you know what I mean? But this has absolutely been, again, absolutely wonderful. Just also I also like to share with people is that I'm trying to get more females on. I definitely want, I've had 2 this far. I don't care about their rank. I don't care if they're an instructor or not. Just I want them to come on and just share obviously their vantage point and their views, and why they're in, what they like about it from their point of view, their perspective, and all that. So I'm working on that. So if you guys know anybody, all that, let them know if they're interested. They can PM me or whatever. I'm trying to get more and more. I had 2 or 3 thus far, but nowhere enough. Nowhere enough. So we need to hear from them too. But any closing thoughts for either of you?
Well, I'd like to just say my 2 bits is thank you for doing this, because
Thank you so much.
For allowing me to do it is an honor,
Yeah.
and allowing me to do it with my son is,
I know. I had to.
it'll be one of the best experiences of my life. I'll tell you that
I'm so glad to hear that.
all the people that don't have kids might not understand, but being able to do this martial art and pursue it and watch his growth and sharing his experiences with him. So now some of the stories that we'll tell are with both of us. As a dad, it's the coolest thing in the world. So thanks.
No, that's awesome.
I'd like to say publicly, I'm so proud of the man he's become and the martial artist he's become.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. You have to give him props. I tell you, because he messaged me about you getting you on. And so I said, look, absolutely. Because, anytime anybody messages me about I'm always receptive and all that. Because a lot of my people getting on are based on referrals. So what I said to him, I said, look, we can do that, but why don't we get both of you on like a father and son thing? And of course he agreed, and there you go. So I'm glad we made it happen. Let's put it that way. And I think it's absolutely been wonderful, that you guys came and all that. Obviously, anybody watching this can obviously see the connection between you two and the admiration. So, so I think it's really, really neat. Chris, you got any closing thoughts?
I mean, I think they go back to just for everybody again to hear that statement that someone else made. But no matter what system you go into, don't look for the differences, look for the similarities. You'll be happier. I don't care. That's been my mantra for the past year of working with so many, because I've been traveling a lot more, working with other schools and other systems. That's been my belief, is that look at the differences, look at the similarities, and you'll have fun. You will. If you don't, and you think I'm wrong,
no, I think that's well said.
My dad's point of him saying he's proud of me, I always look back. I tell people this story before. My dad and I were never the family to go, let's go outside and play catch. That was just never us. We didn't care for baseball. We were let's go outside and see if we can hit each other with a stick faster. That's been our thing. So.
It's great. Yeah, hey, everybody, everybody has their thing that unites them or bonds them, and all that. So no, I think that's great. Well, this has been absolutely wonderful. What I do want to get though, before I do get off, what's you social media on that? So let's get where can people look you up, Dad? What do you got for us?
Arnis International on Facebook, and then Arnis_International on Instagram.
So I got Arnis International Facebook.
Yeah, on Facebook, and then Arnis_International on Instagram. If you message me, guys who really know me, I will tell you, I found a message from 2011. Okay, I don't get on that stuff much.
Okay.
You really need to get in touch with me. You can just send a message, and I'll eventually get it. Or you can Instagram. I see that more. And if you need my phone number, I'll give you my phone number. I mean, call or text is even better. But I know some of the people have tried to get in touch with me on Messenger.
Okay.
Not that I blow you off. I just don't see it.
I got you. I got you. All right. So then, any website or YouTube?
No, not yet.
Not
We're
yet.
Okay, no, fair enough. So, but at least I mean they can check out the Facebook. So I mean, obviously they get some information there.
Mhm.
That's good. Chris, anything for you?
That's it. I mean, those are the social media pages: Arnis International Facebook, Arnis_International Instagram. Just to clarify, people who message those accounts, you're not talking to my dad personally initially. You're probably talking to me. I will get that information to him. I will. But I've gotten so many people who say, "Oh, Grandmaster Bruce, it's so great to hear from you." My dad doesn't read those messages. I don't want to read them.
Well, and
So,
it's not,
right, so people
I
know
don't
it's
read them not because I'm
you.
trying to be a jerk. It's so I can't even spell IT. I'm I'm not good at this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
not.
it's a work in progress for me. Like when I started doing these interviews, like I was able to do on Facebook Live, but then Facebook Live removed the guest option, so we had to go to this. And I'm going to tell you, it's definitely a learning experience.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
My message you back. It's
yeah.
because he doesn't see it. I've got more time than he does. I'm younger. I'm more social media savvy.
Well, and also to everybody, please be safe, and thank you for joining us. Please, if you have any questions, feel free. Hope to see you guys November 21st.
That's right.
Chad's
Chad's event there. The 21st and 22nd November, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And please, Dean, I want to know when you come to Florida. Chris, I can
Sorry,
drive down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the tickets are bought. It's a done deal. So I think
Unless COVID comes again.
yeah. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. But I think it's the 26th, and I think I'm leaving the 23rd, I believe, and I think I'm leaving the 5th. But I'll confirm all that. But I'll be in touch with Chris. You know, I'll send him the dates. Yeah, if we could all meet up, that'd be wonderful. You know, that would be absolutely get Chad too, and
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be very nice. But all right, well, I want to thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciate it, and hopefully, if all goes well, looks like in January we'll be able to meet face to face.
Sounds like a plan.
Good.
Thank you.
All right,
Having us.
Chris, thank you so much for helping out, coordinating this, Chris. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Son, how do I end?
Oh, I'll take care of that, sir. I got that.
He'll end it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Okay. All right. Next, yes, Sunday. It looks like it's gonna be part 2 for Maestro Regalon, part 2 Sunday. I'm gonna confirm that by tomorrow. What else? What else? Tuesday, I think it's gonna be Maestro John Escudero, the Scientific Lightning, or the other way around. I need to correct myself. And then Thursday, Tuhan Ray Dianalo is coming on. So some big stuff coming up this week again. So if you haven't, please hit like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to FMA Discussion on YouTube. Thanks all, and thanks for tuning in. And I will see you hopefully Sunday.